Hi guys, welcome back to part 4 of the tutorial series for HTML5 and CSS3 basics. So in the previous episode we covered all of the portfolio section, and in this section we'll cover all the services kind of elements of the page, so that kind of section. We'll get to the contact section and then we'll even finish the footer. So this one is tying everything in together. We'll finish off all of the content, and by the end of this you'll have a fully fleshed, fully working portfolio. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll get straight into the code. Before we get started with this video, I'd like to take the opportunity to quickly plug the platform that I've created, Luupro. Luupro is a platform for you to get social about the projects you're working on. You can create new projects and share regular updates during project progression, as well as follow your favourite creators and view a feed of their updates. Unlike other portfolio platforms, Luupro is about sharing the entire journey of a project, from concept to completion, not just the final product at the end. Luupro is the perfect place for you guys to get social about the projects you're working on, and it's entirely free to use, and you can get started at luupro.com. So guys, welcome back to the next part of the tutorial. On this part of the tutorial, we're going to focus on the services section and the skills section, the contact area, and then the footer. We're going to try and finish off and kind of tie everything together, finish it all off in this last tutorial. The previous tutorial, we focused on the portfolio, so that's all now up and running. So now we just really have to build out the services content and services contact, and then we're pretty much there. So I think what we'll do is we'll just jump straight back into the code, and we'll just start coding, we'll start going for it. So we're going to start with the markup for the services section. Let's have a look on here. So we're going to make another section with the class of nav section. Again, we need the class of nav section for the JavaScript to tell it to highlight it when we're kind of in the section, so we can highlight the nav links. We're going to give it an ID of services, so it's the services, and then we're going to create another container to pop all our content in the containers, and then we're going to make a section header, the global style that we created previously of the section header. We'll make a H3 with the H3 with the class of heading, and we're going to put services in there, and then we're going to make a H4 with the class of subheading and put something like how I can help you in there. Okay, so that's the section header already covered there. So we've got our services section header in there. Now we're going to finish off the markup for just the services bit. We have got the skills section, which I've kind of included in with the services. I thought they were kind of worked hand in hand, so I included the skills into the services section. But we'll work on just the services bit first. So I'm going to make another grid, and I'm going to call it services grid. And I'm going to make another div with the class of service box, and inside that box we're going to have an icon at the top of it. So I'm going to have an icon wrapper, wrap that in a nice wrapper, and it's going to be a font awesome icon. So we create an I element with the class of FA to tell it it's font awesome, and then we're going to do FA pencil dash ruler, which is going to give us that little kind of design icon down there. So I'm going to make a heading for our sections. It's going to be service heading H4. It's going to be a H4 tag with the class of service heading. And for this one, it's going to be web design for the heading. And then we're going to add a little P tag describing what's going on in our services, kind of a little bit of a description of our service. And we're going to fill that with filler text. So we can just do the lorem and then hit dash, and that fills it. We probably don't need that much content though. Let's just kind of delete some of those words in there, bring it down to there, let's put a full stop at the end so it at least looks like the end of a sentence. And then that pretty much sums up the kind of markup for a service box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this 6 times. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep all of the service sections the same. But what you can do is you can go on Font Awesome, work out what icons you want, and kind of change the services to whatever services you provide, slightly different, and put some different icons on there and whatnot. And I'll let you guys cover that. But what we'll do is we'll finish that. We'll do all the markup all the same in this one, and then we'll just move on to the styles. So scroll all the way to the bottom of our styles sheet. Let's create a new section called services, and then first of all we want to add our kind of padding to the whole section. So we're going to do services padding 100 pixel naught, and then we are going to make the target the services grid, and like previously with the portfolio grid, we're going to do a display of grid. We're going to do grid template columns, So to begin with, on a mobile size, we're doing mobile first, as usual, and then we're going to do the larger screen sizes, overwrite the styles in the larger screen sizes with media queries. So to begin with, we're going to do repeat 1 FR, so we're going to have 1 item per grid, and then we are going to put a grid gap of 25 pixels, so you could see they were separated straight away in there already. So now the service box, what we want to do is let's make this a lot smaller. So we kind of see our mobile size. Let's scroll down there. So the service box, we want to have a background color of gray. So we're going to use our gray variable there. So we can do var -- gray. We want our boxes to have a padding of 20 pixels on mobile displays. And we're going to add a border bottom of 7 pixels solid and then primary. So it adds a nice little border, kind of splits up the each section quite nicely, gives you something nice to look at as well. And then we're going to work on we're going to target the icon wrapper. We're going to put a margin bottom of 20 pixels on that icon wrapper, just to move the icon, text down from the icon. And then we are going to actually target the icon itself. So target the I tag. We're going to give it a font size of 3 rem because we want a large icon. And the good thing about these icons is they basically work like a font face, like an SVG almost. So you can make these whatever font size you want. You can make it 50 rem if you wanted to, and it would never blur, which is really nice. So we're going to make them 3 rem for this case. We're going to make them that pink primary color as well. Okay, so we're going to now move on to the kind of text styling. So the service heading, we're going to give a font size of 1.25 rem, and we're going to put a margin bottom of 20 pixels below it to break up the text, and then we want to target the paragraph text, the text content. We'll give that a font size of 1 rem, which it is by default, but we'll type it in anyway. A margin bottom of 0, and then we're going to give it that muted color again, so it kind of separates it from the title. And we're going to give it a line height of 1.5. So if we're kind of looking on a mobile screen, we're probably going to have even smaller than that. Oh, this is separated here somehow. Let's put these back together quickly. Okay. So on a kind of mobile display, I guess this is a nice box there. Breaks down the kind of content in there quite nicely. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is we'll just go straight into the media queries for this services grid. So like the other grid, we're going to add more columns the larger we get. So we're going to do at media min width 568 pixels. We are going to add a grid. We got to target the services grid, and we are going to make the grid template columns. We're going to have repeat 2 1 FR, so that when we hit 568, we get 2 in a row, like as we see there. And then we are going to have min width 768 pixels. Whilst we're at this section, we're gonna bring the services padding up to slightly larger padding for that section. And then we're going to go skills grid, and we're going to make it. Okay, we don't need that one there. So we're going to do that in a slightly higher media query. So media query min width 992 pixels. We're going to make it a grid of 3. So we're going to go services grid. We're going to target it there. Grid template columns. We are then going to make then repeat 3 1 FR. So at the larger screen size, so as we just increase the screen size, you can see that we get the grid bigger. What I do want to do though is I want to increase the padding and add some little bit of further styling on this. So the service box, these larger screen sizes are going to have a padding of 30 pixels. So slightly more spacing, give it some more breathing room. And then we're going to increase the heading, the service heading, to a font size of 1.75 rem. And then we're going to increase the size of the text as well, the P size. We're going to give that a font size of 1.125 rem. There you are. So that kind of gives us a slightly nicer view now on larger sizes. So that pretty much sums up that quick services grid there. So I'll let you guys put your own content in here, change the icons to whatever services you want to provide. And then we can pretty much straight away move back onto now we can move on to the skills section, I think, below. So we want to go back to the HTML markup now, and then we are gonna, where are we? Let's have a look on there. So we are, instead of making a brand new section like the previous ones, we kind of we're going to put the services in with the inside the we're going to put the skills inside the services section. So we're just going to make a div with the class of skills section in here. So it's kind of all combined into one section. We're going to create a container, and inside that we're still going to have a section header. So we're going to have a h3 class. So we're going to make the section header div, and then h3 with a class of heading called skills, h4 subheading, h4 with a class of subheading, sorry, and then I know some things. And now we're going to make another grid underneath this. Now underneath this section header, we're going to make another div with a class of skills grid. And then we are going to have, inside there, we need to kind of do the markup for an individual skill. So this is going to be some interesting styles in here as we make those kind of progress bars, or whatever you want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this one out fully. So I'm going to create a div with a class of skill. And for each different skill, I'm going to give it, it's quite important to give it a unique ID, because we're going to have some slightly different widths depending on, what percentage we want that bar to show. So we're going to have to add some IDs, some unique IDs to each skill so we can target each skill. So inside there, we're going to make a H4 with the class of skill heading. So this skill is going to be HTML. And then we are going to, so if we scroll down here, we can see the HTML down there. So then we are going to make, underneath there, we're going to make a skill bar. So this is going to be the div that contains the kind of skill bar content. So we need a background bar. So we're going to have an empty div with a class of background bar, and we're going to give it just some styling. And then we're going to have an empty div with the class of percentage bar. And then we're going to have a span, which is going to have a class of percentage text, and that's going to kind of contain our text here. So if we look at the markup at the moment, it kind of gives us nothing. It doesn't really supply any particular interesting, like you can't tell that we're going to be making progress bars or anything like that at the moment, because the background bar and the percentage bars are empty, so there's kind of nothing being displayed. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some styling for each section. So let's first tackle the grid. So let's move above the media queries. So first of all, we want the skills section. We want it to have a margin top of about 70 pixels to kind of bring it down. Oh, skills, not skill section. A margin top of 70 pixels to bring it away from the other services. We want a skills grid. And we're going to, again, give that a display grid. Again, on a mobile size, we want just to have one item in each row when we're at a mobile size. So we're using repeat 1, 1FR. So that's one item which takes up one fraction. We're going to get a grid gap of 30 pixels. And then we'll go straight to the media queries now to separate. We'll basically pop in our grid template columns for other sizes for when we're making the page larger. So we're going to do this one at 768 pixels. So when we hit that size, we're going to overwrite the old grid template columns styling, with a repeat 2 1FR. So 2 items in the grid, both taking up one fraction, so both taking up half the screen. So that's basically our grid setup now. We don't have to worry about that. So now we kind of want to work on our bars, the styling bars. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we've had to give everything unique IDs because they're all going to be slightly different widths depending on kind of what percentage we want to give ourselves for kind of the skill section. So let's start with the individual skill. Let's do some styling for the skill heading. So that's going to have a font size of 1.25 rem. So that's literally, it minorly brought it up, but it makes it slightly more legible. Transform, we're going to make sure they're uppercase. Already HTML is uppercase, but there might be some other options that might not be uppercase by default, so we'll create that. We're going to put a margin bottom of that at 10 pixels. And now we're going to start working on the interesting stuff, so the skill bar. So first of all, the skill bar, which is the parent container, it's kind of containing, it's the wrapper for the percentage bars and stuff. That's going to have a position of relative, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having some divs that are styled absolute in there, so we want them to be relative to this positioning of the skill bar. So we'll put that on there. So to begin with, we want to target the background bar, so we're going to do skill.skillbar.background bar. This bar is going to have a width of 100%. It's going to have a height of 10 pixels. And now it's also going to have a background color of var gray. So that's our gray variable. And as you can see now, we've got our gray bar now showing up. So that's the kind of background bar of our percentage bar. And now we want to work on the percentage bar, on kind of how much progress we're on. Percentage bar. So what we're going to do is it's going to be positioned absolute. It's going to be on the position of top naught and left of naught. So this is going to make it appear on top of the background bar. So we're putting it, we're in the top and we're putting it on the top left. So it's going to be right on top of the other bar. It needs a height of 10 pixels like the other bar. It's going to have a background color of var -- primary. Let's remove that there. And then at the moment we still can't see it. So now what we need to do is we need to give it a width. As soon as we give it that width, we'll start viewing the bar. So in this case, we've said that the HTML, we got 90% in the HTML, whatever that means, that's 90% of our skill set. So we can give it a width of 90%, and then it will fill up the bar 90% of the way. But like I said, we want different widths for every single skill. So in general, we've got this general styling for the percentage bar, but these attributes for all of the percentage bars will stay the same. These top kind of properties here, but this width will be different for every single percentage bar for every single skill we want. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove that width from there, and we're going to target each skill individually. So in this case, we made our skill, we gave the skill an ID of skill-html. So for skill, so we're going to target skill-html. We want the percentage bar. So this is just targeting this one skill. And for this one skill, the percentage bar is going to have a width of 90%. So that sets that up perfectly for this skill. Right, so now we've got the lower text as well. We kind of want that above the bar in the exact position here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do skill.skillbar.percentage text. So this is the 90% text here. So we need to give it some styling first. Let's give it a font size of 1.25 rem. Let's give it a font weight of bold. And then that gets the styling working. Oh, we haven't quite targeted it there. I've got a typo on my class name. I thought there might be something wrong there. So percentage text, I had a typo on the class on the span there, so the stylings weren't appearing. But now we can see it's bold. It's similar. It's the same layout as this one. But what we want to do is we want this to be positioned perfectly above in the center of kind of where our progress bar is. So what we're going to do is we're going to position this one absolute as well, this percentage text absolute. And we are going to give it a top of, so if we gave it a top of 0, it would appear, as you can see here, at the top of the percentage bar. We don't really want that. We want it above it. So we're going to give it a top of minus 30 pixels. And you can see that kind of puts it over the current text because we haven't sorted out a kind of where we want to position it left. So top is 30 pixels. If we were to do left 50%, it would put it halfway along the bar, but we want 90%. So we're going to do a left of 90% on there. And as you can see, that's then now positioned it in line with the percentage bar. So we're at the 90% part. We're perfectly in line, but we kind of want it to be over the middle. So what we can do is we can use transform, and then we can translate. We can use a transform property and then translate x. So that means it's translating the position on the x-axis. And if we do minus 50%, it's bringing it back 50% of the element width. The interesting thing about transform is that it translates it in relation to the actual element's width, which other properties don't. So that's why we use transform there. Now it's perfectly centered us the text above the kind of percentage area. But so similarly to the previous percentage bar here, these elements for every single bar are going to remain the same. However, this left 90%, this value here is different for every single skill. It's unique to every single skill. So again, we're going to remove this from here. We're going to remove that from there. And then we're going to target the skill -HTML. That's our HTML skill. That's the ID we gave it again. And then we're going to add a percentage text. We're going to target the percentage text, and then we're going to pop it in here, and we're going to do it left 90%. So there we go. That's perfectly positioned that skill. So we now want to, let's add some more skills then. So what's our next one going to be? We're going to add so we've got HTML in there. Let's make our next one CSS then, shall we? So we got the skill here. We're going to copy this, and we're going to type in CSS, and we're going to give it a unique ID. So like I said last time, we're going to make sure each skill has a unique ID. This one's skill HTML. This skill is CSS, so it's skill CSS. And then we're going to say we're 80% on that skill. So as you can see, because we because we haven't given the percentage bar a width yet or a left positioning for the text, you can see that the 30% is just kind of hovering over all the other stuff. So we need to go back into our styles for the hashtag skill CSS. We're going to put the percentage bar width 80%, and then the percentage text. We're going to put left 80%, so that's positioned left 80% of the way on the page. So there we go, and that's sorted out that styling there. So we need to do that for, I think we're going to put 6 skills in total. So this one's CSS. The next one is going to be, what should we do? The next one, JavaScript. So it needs a unique ID. So skill is JavaScript, so skill-JavaScript. We're going to say we're 60% in JavaScript, being brutally honest here, why not? Div here. We pull that down. Of course, these for this tutorial, we're just using random numbers in here. Obviously, you guys want to make it probably specific to you. You want specific skills to you, but I've just kind of filled them with whatever random skills that I could think of at the time, and any random percentages. So this next one is going to be skill JavaScript. So skill. We've got a skill of JavaScript. The next one's going to be design. So I'm going to give it a unique name, a unique percentage there. That one's done. And then the next one is going to be illustration. And let's say we're 75% or illustration, and then one more, which is going to be editing. Let's put in video editing into the title, and we're 85% editing. So now we've got our 4 remaining skills. So we need to, for each one, we need to add our unique skill CSS property. Sorry. So skill JavaScript. Let's do the percentage bar. Can't remember what we said for that. I think we did width is 60%. So that's the progress bar up to 60% there. And then the percentage text is left 60% as well. And the design, hashtag skill design, can't remember what we said, 95% for design, apparently. Percentage bar, so that one is width 95%. And then the hashtag skill. So the percentage text is left of 95% as well. Oh, we forgot to change the number for design there. There we go, 95%. And let's go for the skill illustration. That's 75%. We said. So it needs to go left 75% there. And then the last one of editing. Let's go left 80%. So that's it. That's that section done. How's that? No, I've got typo there. There you are. So we got that section done now. And we can see it at a larger screen size. So we hit the 768 because we put the grid template 2 columns. It then goes into a nice 2-column view. And we got a nice little skills bar section there. So that's perfect. That's all sorted there. So let's pop that next to that again. Oh. And let's switch this out. Let's go here. Right, okay. So messed up my layout now. Right. So the next section we need to move on to is the contact section. So if we go over to our final page, let's go here. The contact section is really simple. We've just got some information about the contacts that could contain any kind of text. It could say your availability or something like that. It's got some email content in here, some contact content, and then it's got our social icons bar again. So this should be a really quick area to type up. I didn't want to include a email form because on most HTML, just base index base kind of like HTML documents, it's quite hard to get email forms working perfectly unless you're using something like PHP or WordPress or something like that. So for this tutorial, I decided not to do a form and just kind of keep our just simple email and contact tags on there. So let's start with the code for the contact section. So we need to make a section with the class of nav section. It's going to have an ID of contact, so we can scroll to it from the navbar. And then inside there, a div with the class of container, and then a div with the class of section header to have our normal section header. The H3 needs a class of heading, and that's going to say contact. And the H4 needs a class of subheading, and that's going to say get in touch with me. Okay, so there you've got the section header now, and now we're going to work on the inner content of the markup for the inner content. So we need the markup of a div with a class of inner content. And inside there, we're going to have the text content. So this is going to be all the content that appears on the left. Fill it with lorem ipsum. So we can do lorem star 2 and then click tab. So that fills it with filler text there. And then we want, underneath this, we want the social icons. So we can go up to the top. We'll go all the way to the hero. Whereabouts is it? We can copy the social icons here. We can copy and paste the content from there down into our markup below the p tag here. So that's that content done. We've got the markup done for that. And then we can go to right underneath there. So we need to go 2 divs down. So 2 closing divs down. And then we need to work on the actual contact info. So we're going to make a div with a class name of contact info. And then we are going to make a div with a class name of contact block. So each bit of contact information is going to have an icon with like a phone or an envelope or a map marker, and it's going to be inside the contact block. So we're going to make a div with a class name of icon wrapper. So .icon wrapper tab. And then we're going to have an I tag for our icon with a class name of FA for font awesome, and then FA-envelope. So that's going to make a little nice envelope tab. And we're also going to add a class of FA-FW, which stands for font awesome fixed width. So basically it means that all of our icons in this row will have a fixed width, and it won't kind of be like they won't be misaligned from each other. So we've got the icon wrapper. Now we actually need the details. So let's make a div with a class name of details. We're going to make a h5 with the class name of heading, so the heading for the details. It's going to have email me in that one, and then we're going to make an href of mail to. So this will create a mail email. It will create, if you click on it, it will create a link to send email. So we can do that contact.me. So it's just a filler email address. So that's that section done. And then we can copy and paste this contact block twice to fill it with our phone number and our address as well. So let's just copy it once first so it doesn't confuse the markup. So copied once, we're going to work on the phone now. So we're going to do FA phone. We're going to have a heading of call me. And then we're going to put in a number here. So let's remove this link as well. So we can do tell. So if someone's on a mobile, they can click that link and call you straight away. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just fill a text in there. Fill a number. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to input a non-breaking space. So you do an and symbol, NBSP, and then a colon. So that stands for non-breaking space. So it basically puts a space in between the phone number, but it means it will never break up the page too much. So say we were resizing the page, our phone number wouldn't be on like 2 lines, it would always be on 1 line. It's considered basically 1 word in terms of markup, but there's a gap in the middle of it. So that's a good practice if you're ever going to split up that kind of content there. So I'm going to copy that contact block down again, and we're going to work on a mail link. So this one is going to be a link to mail. So the heading is going to be mail, sorry. We're going to change the icon to fa-map-marker alt. So that's going to make a nice little map marker there. And then we are going to remove this link tag. You can't really send a link to mail, so we're going to put it in a span tag instead. So it's going to say some address somewhere. So now that we've done the markup, we can now move on to the styling for the context area. So we'll make a new comment tag in our styles.css file, and we'll put it under contact. And then to begin with, what we're going to do is we are going to add some padding to the area. So contact can have a padding of 150 pixels and 0. We're doing it slightly larger on the contact padding since there's less content. So we're going to do it larger padding on mobile size than we did for the other sections, just to split it up properly. We're going to target the text content area, and we're going to put a margin bottom 50 pixels. That separates it. So this separates our little text area here from our kind of contact blocks down below. And then we are going to, let's do the text styling. Let's make the font size for that 1.125 rem, so bring that up again. Let's make it a muted color. And let's also put the line height to 1.5. So we're going to, and then target the social icons. We're going to put a margin top on those of 20 pixels to separate it from the text there. And then we can pretty much move on to the contact block. So the kind of the kind of details area. So the contact block, so this is each one of these 3 elements here. We are going to have a display of flex to put the title and the actual contact information next to the icon. And we're going to align the items center, so center align them with each other. And then we are going to do a margin bottom on those of 30 pixels. So it adds a nice margin under each element. And again, like the previous last kind of children, we're going to focus the last child of the contact block, and we're going to put a margin bottom of 0 on that last child because we don't need any margin below that. So now we'll add some styling to the actual icon itself. So the icon wrapper and an eye. We can do the color, and we'll make that a primary color. and then a font size of 2.5 rem. We're going to make some nice big icons. And then we're going to put a margin right for those icons of about 20 pixels, so they move away from, so the text content's moved away from the actual icons. So now we can move on to the actual text styling for that section. So we're going to dot heading there. We've got the font size of 1.25 rem. We're going to go for larger text on those headings. We're going to make them uppercase, so text transform uppercase. And then we are also going to make them muted. So we're going to have the links below the actual content details. They're going to feature. They're going to be in white to stand out from the actual headings. So now we're going to actually style those links and those details. So we're going to target the link tag, but we've also got a span tag for the address because that doesn't have a link, and they need to have the same styling. So you can do font size. We're going to make them 1.25 rem, so nice and big. Style sheets being slow there, and we're going to make them the color of those white. They are already white, but we're going to enforce that for the hover rules. And then we're going to make a front weight. We're going to put them to bold. So --f bold. And then we're going to do a transition of those as well when we add some hover effects to the link tags. Oh, I've accidentally changed there. So for these hover effects, we're not going to make them pink as well because it's just going to look a bit messy next to the already pink icons. So we'll do we'll just add a change of opacity to kind of show that we've hovered over the links and that show that they are actually links. So let's put an opacity of 0.7 in there. So when we hover over them, it kind of changes color slightly. So it kind of tells the users that it is a link. Okay, so that kind of covers the mobile styling. The context section looks quite good there for mobiles, but we actually want to work on kind of desktop styling. So let's add some media queries in here. We're going to do the media queries for a minimum width of 992 pixels. So the content.text content. Oh, sorry. We'll start with 768 pixels. Actually, we'll leave this 768 pixels. I think we're going to do it slightly smaller instead. So we're going to add. First of all, we're going to add a lot more padding to the actual content area. Again, we're going to add some extra padding compared to the other sections because it's a slightly less content on the section. We want some more space at the bottom. And then the inner content, so we're going to target the inner content, and we're going to put that as with a display of flex. So that this puts the text content and the icons next to each other when we're on a bigger display. And then we're going to add a little bit of a margin, a padding right to the text content. So padding right of 50 pixels. So that takes the kind of text away from the icon, so it's not so suffocated. And then there was a margin added to that previously. We don't need a margin on the text content anymore. And then for the media queries, for the larger screen sizes, 992 pixels, we're just going to add a little bit extra padding to the text content. So hashtag contact.text content. And then we're going to do padding right of 90 pixels. So that separates it a bit better for larger screen sizes, so it's not too suffocated again. Okay, what else do we want to add? And the contact info, we can see here that it's actually shrinking. So instead, we're going to add a value to stop the contact info shrinking. So we can add a flex shrink 0, and as you see at the moment before I save the document, this is split into 2 lines. But if we add flex shrink, this means it won't force the width down on this kind of contact block here. So it will bring the icons next to each other. Instead, this text here will shrink down just so that we got some bolder icons, some better spacing around there. So that pretty much sums up the contact area as well. So we've got the links working on that as well. So it's an active link. And now we can just finalize the products really, finalize the rest of the portfolio, and we can add some footer styles, markup and styles even. Right, so let's create a new tag called footer. Inside that footer, we're going to have a container. We're just going to make a really basic footer. We've got some inner content, so we're going to make this a flex box in a minute. Then we're going to have something on the left. So on the left, we're going to have a little copyright symbol. So and copy, and then so you could do an and sign, a copy, and then a semicolon, and then Matt Dobson. Let's go 2020. So I add a little bit of copyright text there. You can see at the bottom has now arrived, and then on the right content, we are going to. In fact, we don't even need to label that right content. We can just copy and paste these social icons. We're just going to put the social icons in the footer again. So I'm going to copy the social icons from up here, the same markup, and then I'm going to pop them down here. So at the moment, we haven't done any styles, so they're sitting on top of each other. So we'll now go to the styles. We'll go and make a new comment tag for footer styles. And then we can add a border top to the footer. We're going to make that border 3 pixels solid, and it's going to have the color of primary, so it puts a nice border over there. So add some padding of 25 pixels naught, just to give some spacing around that footer, and then we're going to text align it all center. So again, to begin with, we are doing some styling for the mobile sizes. So let's move down to like a mobile size to show you guys what it kind of looks like. So text align, we're going to have that as center for mobiles. We're going to remove that later on, have it all left aligned when we're on larger screen sizes. And then the left content is going to have a margin bottom of 10 pixels. So we're just going to have a really basic footer when it comes to the mobile, just a little bit of text, and the icons and belief. We'll add some styling to the text. So we're going to target the left content P elements. Font weight var -- F bold. We're going to make that nice bold text. We're going to increase the font size just slightly to 1.25 rem, and then that'll pretty much do it for a mobile footer. So when we're on larger file sizes, so we'll start from 5, 6, 8 pixels in this. We can then put this bit of content next to each other. So we had the footer text aligned center. We now want that text aligned left because they're going to be side by side. Not side by side, sorry, kind of space between. We're going to add justification there. The left content, we've got a margin bottom on it at the moment. We want to remove that. So that's going to be a margin bottom of 0. And then the inner content, we can add a display of flex, and then we can justify content of space between to move the two elements apart. And then I spelled content wrong here, that's why we haven't seen any changes. Content there, so that's content apart. And then we can just align the items center so they're perfectly aligned. And that sums it up. That's pretty much all of the code now from this point. So if we go over to the bigger screen, we can take a look at the final product. So if we look from this screen, we've got the finished product pretty much. We've got nice working tabs. We can go to each section. You can go to the contact sections. You've got a link to take you all the way back to the top. You've got your social media icons, which again, you can put your own social media links into when you get there. And it all works really nicely responsively. So we'll go to the portfolio. We've got nice portfolio tabs for every single image. So if we just test these out, these all work for all the images. And then we can inspect this. And what we'll do is we'll force it to a phone size. So we've got a really nice, fully responsive website. So we can go to the about sections. Looks good on there for a mobile. Portfolio section works perfectly still on mobile. You've got services, you've got your service icons down there. You've got your skills all nicely aligned, all the progress bars in the right positions. And then you've got your contact area as well. So it's a fully responsive website, works perfectly on any phone sizes, on any size. It'll work on every single size you want. So that pretty much sums up the rest of the development tutorial. That brings it to an end. So let me know in the comments below if you need any help, if you need any support for anything else, or you've got any suggestions, especially suggestions for future tutorials. I'd love to know what you guys are after, and put some suggestions down there, and I'm more than happy to check them out. I'll probably be looking into building a React application at some point and bringing the tutorial to you guys for that. But yeah, thanks for taking part, and be sure to share your results and let me know how it goes. Thank you very much. Cheers.